Welcome back to Boulder Up with Rapheal Davis, brought to you by the Field of 68 Podcast Network. Make sure you guys click the link, subscribe. I hope you guys enjoy this conversation. I'm talking to one of my favorite people in the world, one of my favorite teammates, probably my favorite teammate, my freshman, someone that came in and walked on as a freshman that challenged me immediately. So what's up, Grady? How you doing?
What's up, Ray? Thanks for having me on, and that's a big statement coming from you.
No, so Grady, let's first story. I want to tell the people how your very first time in Cardinal Gym, you wanted to play me one-on-one. Tell the people how I kind of felt coming in as a walk-on. You looked at me and you wanted to check it up. How was that? And why was that?
I don't know if it went like that, but I knew I was nervous coming into it. I think we were in Cardinal, and it might have been like picture day or something, or like we were getting photos taken, or maybe just like cleared, like getting physicals, and like we were just hanging out in the gym, and everybody was kind of like lined against the baseline. And you like looked at me. I think you're like, "You're from Fort Wayne, aren't you?" I was like, "Yep." And he was like, well, let's kind of like see what you got." I was like, "What?" So we started just like messing around, and I think we just turned it into like a one-on-one game. And how I remember it is like I got first couple of buckets, I'm like, man, this is like supposed to be the defensive player of the year. Like I'm a walk-on. Like I think this might be, easier than like what I thought. And then I think I even I don't know if I ever won a game, but the next like 3 games, I couldn't even get a shot up.
Yeah, you won the first game, and then you started talking trash to PJ. PJ was egging you on.
Oh, for sure.
PJ had you going, and then for the next like 4 or 5 games, I don't think you dribbled.
Yeah. Like I couldn't even raise the ball above to get to my pocket. It was either getting swiped or I was getting blocked.
So from that day on, like for you to keep playing me and keep coming around, I really saw the toughness in you. And I heard about you. I knew who you was. I kind of knew your background, but that kind of proved to me that like, all right, this dude not no punk. But nah, Grady, I just want to. All the people kind of know how you ended at Purdue. They kind of remember you your senior year, most efficient player in college basketball, Elite Eight. But kind of take people back a little bit. When did you start playing basketball? When did you grow into it? Was it basketball your first love? I know you have a football family, but I know your dad played basketball as well. So how was that, your background?
Yeah, growing up was either football or basketball. I played some other sports, but definitely basketball and football were the 2 that I took more serious. And I can remember when I was at Spiece playing with our grade school teams all the way from, 2nd grade on. And we had a little travel team that we would compete in every weekend over at Spiece. And like, I think we competed for state. We had our 5th and 6th grade team. We always played against the PAL teams, and like, we always have some battles against some of those guys. But just growing up, moving forward, and then once I got to high school, AAU, I didn't really have like a set AAU program. I kind of bounced around and tried to just find my way with the best team.
So did you know basketball was something, once you got kind of high school, AAU, did you know basketball was something that you wanted to pursue at the next level?
I think once I got to high school, I did. I don't think when I was younger or in grade school, I was like, I knew basketball was going to be my, my dream to play at the next level. But once I got to high school, I started to grow a little bit, but I was super lanky. Like I was skinny. I knew I wasn't going to be able to play football. And so I quit that after my sophomore year. I was way too skinny and long. And then like my senior year, I hit a growth spurt. And that's when I decided after my senior year to take a prep year and just kind of grow into my body. My brother was a late bloomer, and so was I. So just having that extra year physically to be able to grow into my body and put on some weight. I think at prep school I grew a couple inches or an inch, and I put on like 15 to maybe 20 pounds just to get ready for the next level. And even after prep school, I didn't have any Division I offers. A couple D2s were interested, but nothing like, nothing that would excite me to go there, because I think the biggest thing when you're looking into a school is just having those people want you to be there. I think that's what I found in Purdue was, I was familiar with the place, and like Coach Payne and Bloom, those guys had me down for a game and met with me after, and like that was the biggest thing. It was like they didn't have to do any of that. They could just send something over to my dad or in the mail, and for them to do that, I think that was huge.
No, that's real cool. That's super cool. That is cool. The Payne and Bloom to kind of sit you down, especially for you to come in as a preferred walk-on too. But Grady, so you're telling me, so during high school, you weren't recruited at all when you kind of chose to go up to Bosco for the prep year.
No, I mean,
So what kind of gave you that? What kind of get my bad? I'm gonna cut you off. What kind of gave you that? All right, I'm gonna do this prep year. Was it I really want this, or was it just kind of a leap of faith to do a prep year?
No, I wanted to play at the next level, and like through watching my brother play at the highest level for college football, seeing those fans and like being on that stage was something I wanted to do. Like there's no better feeling than like having your name called with thousands of fans screaming, and playing for a team like Purdue or just in the Big 10 in general. So I think that was what kind of drove me was playing on that stage and won it at the next level.
Right. And then so like you said, when Payne comes in, it's kind of an easy decision to go to Purdue. You have your year at Bosco. Tell us what's it like coming in as a freshman walk-on onto a campus. Like you said, your dad was once there. He had success. Your brother's playing at the highest level. Here you come. You're a walk-on at Purdue. You're a freshman. Kind of tell us what that's like.
Yeah, I mean, when they offered me the walk-on spot, I think my mom and dad like committed for me right there. Like we got in the car, and I think they were like, "Dude, you're going there." Like, and not to say that like I didn't have a choice, but I mean, deep down inside, I knew that's where I wanted to go as well. But it was just funny getting in the car. My mom was like, "Can you believe they offered you this?" And it was an exciting time. And then, once you get on campus, for me, it was just kind of settling in and trying to balance, school, your social life, and basketball. And then I think what I just tried to do was get around the right guys, got around you, Dakota, PJ, and like you three just were huge early on for me moving forward. Being able to, learn the system as quickly as I could, be able to take in, different things that you guys had learned as you've already been there. Dakota and PJ were younger, but you were obviously been through the system, and just pick up on things like that. And whether it was, getting to class on time or, being 15 minutes up in the weight room early, not being the kid to, have to wait on to get to the bus. I was a walk-on, so I wasn't going to do that anyways. But just little stuff like that, like don't cause any issues, kind of just keep your head down, keep working, and, make the guys around you better.
Nice. No, that's great to hear. This for anybody that is interested in college basketball, like you're saying, Grady, that maybe not be recruited in high school and maybe has an opportunity to go to a prep year if you really want it. I mean, Grady's kind of telling you exactly how to get there. But no, Grady, I've always wanted to talk about your freshman year because we had some horses. We had Isaac, we had AJ, had Kill, had Biggie, and you will be down there battling. What was that like going against 7-footers, 300-pounders every single day as a 6'6" freshman walk-on?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. I mean, sometimes, like I said, we had a lot of guys on the roster my freshman year. We had like, I want to say 15 or 16 guys, and I was the third walk-on. We had two older walk-ons. So there'd be times at practice you're not going to really touch the ball or even like step in a drill. So like you had to find ways like you were going to be able to help your teammates or like, push them to be better. So anytime I would try to get in the drill, like I had full energy. I was ready to go. Like AJ had been playing here for 4 years. He was older. Like, you're a little banged up when you're that old after 4 years. And I was ready to go. I was energized, and I mean, I was just lucky to be there. So anytime I'd get in, I just, went full tilt. I'm sure guys hated that, but I mean, that's just the only thing I really knew, and I knew it could help our guys and try to, get them prep for a game, and because that's what a lot of guys that come off the bench in games will do is, come in, get a couple loose balls and, long rebounds. And that's what I just try to emulate as far as trying to make guys better. And, but yeah, Isaac, Biggie, and Vince and AJ, like those four, just it's ridiculous. I mean, to look back and know that all those four guys were on the roster.
Was there any day during your freshman year where you called home, you called Greg, or you called your mom, and he was like, "I can't do this. This is too much," or "These dudes are too good," or
yeah, I don't
home?
know if I ever was like this was too much. I just was like, man, I don't know if I made the right decision. Like these guys are, a lot taller than me. I know I can play physically with them, but like not being able to be 6'9", 6'10", and then like on the guard end, like I wasn't quick enough to stay in front of a lot of dudes. So like that was the other thing is like one, I wasn't big enough sometimes to go down there and fight with those guys. But then like when we would do guard breakdown and I would, get called down to your guys' end, like I'm just getting blown by. So it's like, where is the spot for me? But I think just talking with my dad, he was like, just trust it. Like you just got to go in and work hard each day. And he's like, you didn't come here to think you were going to play your all 4 years. Like I knew going into it, hey, these first 2 years are going to be tough just with our roster and, the talent level. And so I knew that if I just kept working over those first 2 years, maybe my junior year I could play a little bit. Obviously, I knew Vince was going to be there. And then senior year, any of the guys under me, I felt like I could compete with them just through knowing our system and knowing what Coach Paint likes.
Nah, that's cool. That's cool. That's smart. So you just found your way. I mean, you kind of found a way to get on the floor. It didn't have to be a cool way. You kind of was okay with being that glue guy.
Yeah, Coach Paint gives you the answers to the test. I mean, he tells all our guys, if you want to play, you got to rebound, you got to defend, and you got to know what's going on, and you got to be able to make an open shot. And so, like, I took those 4 things, like, to heart and just try to do those the best I could.
Nah, that's cool. And Grady, I do want to, I got a lot of questions, honestly, just for me. I want to talk about the team now, but I still got my questions, my selfish questions. What was that like getting a scholarship? What was that like? I mean, you have a season, you get a scholarship, you win some games, you're an important piece of the team. Tell me about that transition from someone that's going through high school, I'm not really recruited, I go to prep school, I'm not really recruited, I get a preferred walk-on opportunity. Now I'm a scholarship player. Now I'm actually important to the team. What's that like? What's that transition like?
Yeah, I mean, my sophomore year was my first year. Actually, I got on scholarship, and I think I received the news in the summer. Coach Paint called me, and I'm not even sure. I don't know if it was that time, but I hadn't had his number saved because I never. You know how the meetings go. Like Bloom texts you to like come up and have the meeting. Like as a walk on, your meetings are like 5 minutes long. Everybody else is like 30 because like they're talking about academics, and you can walk up there and you'll meet for like 5 minutes and be like, is this done? Is this done? Yes, yes. This is what we, expect you to, help us out in this area. Like, just keep doing some of the things you've been doing. Like, physically, he was like, I know you can compete at this level. So, like, you only meet for a couple minutes, and then transitioning was like, I think my sophomore and then kind of my junior year, but more so my sophomore year, like, I started to get yelled at a little bit more by some of the coaches. I'm like, in my head, I'm fine with it. And I knew that, like, okay, now it kind of means that they care about you. Like, if you're not getting yelled at, you're not, they don't care much about you. Like, the guys that get yelled at the most, they want the most out of them. They want the most from them.
Right.
And so, like, getting yelled at really didn't faze me. And so, like, having the assistants or even Coach Payne on me, I'm like, I called home to my dad. I'm like, hey, they're starting to yell at me more. I think I might be able to play here in a couple of years. Like, they're getting on me. They want me to be ready. Anything can happen throughout the season, as you know. And so just having that mindset of like them, reaching out to me, yelling at me, getting on me about certain things, I knew I had to bring it and be ready moving forward. because you never know when your time can come. And so like the next year, my junior year, some guys had left, or um, um, it was my turn then to step into that role of being the backup four. And I think just that preparation throughout practice really prepared me for that time.
Yeah, I mean, we can't look past. I mean, you said some guys left. I think one guy left, and it was an All-American. So I mean, you
Yeah.
stepped into a role that kind of filled the All-American's position, kind of coming from a guy that didn't play much. So that's a lot of trust Paint had to have in you for him not to go in. I'm not gonna say freak out, but go out and try to find a new guy when he knew he had his guy. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
but no, that's big. But don't skip past one thing your sophomore year. What's it like beating IU at home for a Big 10 championship?
Yeah, there's nothing better. I mean, have like especially growing up, going to the Purdue games when I was younger, like we always marked the IU game on our calendar. Had season tickets and would always come down for that game, either football or basketball. So like it was a very surreal moment to have like the confetti dropping on you when IU's walking up the tunnel after you guys just beat them. Like there's nothing better. Everybody that like I went to high school with either went to IU or Purdue. So like everybody's texting you before the games, you know how big this is, and to finally have the confetti dropping after beating IU, like there's no better feeling. And it was great to be a part of something that special on that night.
Right. Nah, Grady. I mean, like I said, you were probably a part of one of the best Purdue runs, I would say. I mean, because you fast forward that next year, you guys compete to win it. You should have won the Big Ten again the next year, especially with that group of guys you guys had. I mean,
Right.
you guys should have won the Big Ten, but then those guys leave. So tell us what that like when you see Vince leave, you see Isaac leave, you see PJ Dakota, Jaquil transfers. What's that like? Now you're looking around and you're kind of like, I'm going to play. This is kind of my time to kind of shine. Were you nervous going into the year, or when you guys were 6-5 and you were starting? Did you kind of feel that heat, or how was that?
Yeah, I mean those are all good questions. I think like after sorry.
I'm good at my job.
Yeah. Um man, you're already getting a big head. But anyways, after those guys had left, I think we all knew, man, we should have easily, should have clinched that Big Ten title that junior year.
Right.
And it was kind of looking back on it, you're like, man, how did we let that slip? Like I think a lot of guys came back that year, hadn't played that many minutes and at meaningful times too. Like you can play a lot of minutes, maybe you can play 20 minutes, but are you really playing at the end of the games, like when it matters? So none of us had really done that besides Carson.
Right.
And so coming back to, I think a lot of the guys were hungry. They kind of wanted to show, the whole college basketball world and, show the coaches as well here that like, hey, we can play, we can be starters here too. And so I think that was Coach Payne, the coaching staff, biggest question was, are these guys that are backups going to be able to start and, produce? And it's like when we came out and we were 6-5, our schedule was very tough, but we let some slip that were, we shouldn't have gotten beat. Like at Florida State, we got beat. Notre Dame at the Crossroads Classic, they end up winning by like 10 or 12, and we just played bad. Like I think we were the better team coming into it. We just didn't put it together. And like that was our turning point. I think the Notre Dame game, Coach Payne got into us after the game and kind of just like questioned like some of our guys and moving forward, like, we're not going to give up here. Like we're 6-5. We can either shut it down for the season or we can turn this thing around. I think we had like 3 or 4 tough practices in a row. And that's what it kind of set in for our guys. Like, hey, we're not going to have it like this all year. Like
it was kind of your first time going through adversity,
right?
Kind of in a losing way. So it's kind of because what you're saying is, I mean, we had those 4 tough practices after we lose to Notre Dame junior year, before you were there. So Dakota and them kind of got a piece of that.
Yeah.
So kind of had those practices. You kind of see like, whoa, I don't like this.
Yep.
How did you get those? Because I mean, you're the guy in the locker room. You're the older guy. How do you get those guys to jail? What happened in the, because Payne could do what he want, but it had to happen in the locker room. What happened?
I think just the biggest thing was staying together, like not having everybody freak out all at once, like just keep staying our path. I think some of the things that we were doing in the games weren't the worst things. Like what we were doing was we were doing some good things. It was just being able to close out those games. So I think guys not getting frustrated at each other, trusting the process of like what the coaches were teaching us and what they were giving us. And I think just believing in one another, like that was our biggest thing, was just staying together through those tough practices, like turn those hard practices into like almost fun, making them work together. Like I think if we got scored on 3 times in a row, then we'd have to go do wall sits or something like that. So like it was like the offense would be trying to score, so it would make it competitive, but the defense isn't trying to do wall sits either. So like those things, as far as like making it competitive and sticking together. And I think just our attention to like detail and our focus moving forward just had to be like turned up a notch. And I think we saw that just by getting a couple road wins. I think we went on the road to Wisconsin and got our first road win. And then at Ohio State, we ended up getting a road win, and like we took care of our home court, which was huge throughout the whole season. And like our fans were amazing. Like they stuck by us 6-5. We were still selling out Mackey Arena. So like that was huge to be able to take care of home court. And then we just snuck a couple on the road, and that was it. Like we were able to win the Big 10.
So you win the Big 10. I mean, you said some things in there I want to hit on. Because you definitely win the Big 10. But on the way to Big 10, you have a moment in your career that not a lot of people can have. You kind of mentioned it. You're a humble guy, so you kind of skate past it. You hit a game winner at Ohio State. What is that like coming into campus, not even knowing you're going to play? Then your senior year, you're hitting game winners at Ohio State. We kind of seen the moment for Jaden Ivey last night, but he's a freshman. He's one of the best players in America as a freshman. But you were a guy that had to work your way there. What was it? Did you know you were taking? Was the play drawn for you, or did you just shoot it? I got to ask that first.
No, I don't think it was really drawn up for me. We were trying to get like a switch for Carson,
Right.
but with how good Carson was, with how explosive he was, and like everybody knew like we were probably going to be for Carson. So I set like a high ball screen at the top of the key, and they just kind of both went with Carson, and Carson kind of just trusted me to make the shot, and got out of his hands quick. And I think when I hit the shot, like I was kind of like leaning forward, like maybe I missed it or left it short. So I was going in to try to get the rebound. Then I hit it, and like I remember after the game, Carson's like, "Dude, whenever you hit a game winner, like you can't be like running in for it, like trying to get the rebound. Like you got to stick that." I was like, "Yeah, like I didn't think like I was gonna make it, dude. Like, and like I didn't think I was gonna get this shot. It wasn't a game. It wasn't even a game winner, but it was like a game sealing game, like a dagger.
Were you surprised when Carson passed you?
I mean, I was open, so I mean that doesn't necessarily mean I'm gonna get the ball either, but still, like I think that was like a big point in our season was for him to trust me to get it out of his hands,
Right.
and just be able to knock down an open shot. Like he drew both defenders.
He made the
Now
right.
it's time for another guy on our team to hit a shot. So.
All right, that's cool. So now, Grady, you're hitting game winners. You go back to campus. You the man. So now you have a lot of energy, a lot of. How do you keep that going? How do you sustain that for someone that, like you said, you weren't used to hitting game winners? Carson tried to teach you how to pose after a game winner. How do you go? How do you kind of deal with that? Now you turn into the most efficient college basketball player in the country. How don't you get the big head?
I just think through growing up and being around my family, my dad and my older brother, just like the biggest thing I learned from my older brother was just keeping a level head, never getting too high about your emotions, never getting too low. Like always be someone your teammates can rely on. Just always staying like even keel, I think was my biggest thing. Didn't matter if we would beat the number 3 team in the country on the road or in Mackey, or if it was, to losing to someone you were supposed to be like Notre Dame. Like I knew after Notre Dame, I was going to come in and do the same preparation and same work ethic as if we just beat someone as well. So like having that mindset of after a big win or a tough loss is having the same preparation and doing your same thing and trying to get better each day. Like you can't dwell on getting beat. Like I think moving forward and then after a big win, like not getting caught in like a trap game the next game is huge throughout the season. I think for our season, my senior year was we kind of just moved game by game. Like we snuck under the radar. We weren't really ranked all season until like later. And I think that was big for us. And we kind of just kept it even keel throughout the year.
Oh, nice. And like you said, you weren't really ranked to the end. And at the end of the season, you guys took off. Tell us about that run. We all got to hear about that March Madness. You guys make a run to the Elite Eight. I'm there. I mean, you guys, y'all brought me to tears against Tennessee. So, I mean, talk about that. Because for me, we came in last place in the Big 10 my sophomore year. We played in the CBI. Do you know what the CBI is?
Like the college basketball invite?
Exactly. We played in the CBI my freshman year and lost in Mackey. And a dude from the California school, he had, I think, 40 on us. So think about that. We're in the CBI. We lose in Mackey, and the dude had 40 or something like that. So the next year, we come last place in the Big 10. So it's a quick turnaround, essentially, to the Elite Eight. Tell us about that run.
Yeah, I think just going into the tournament, like we had lost against Minnesota in the Big 10 tournament in the first round. And like I said, moving forward, like we couldn't worry about that loss. Like we couldn't let that affect us moving into the Big 10 tournament. And like we played Old Dominion first round and we kind of battled and like they hung around and then we were able to like close it out at the end. And then Villanova, like it was one of the more fun games I've ever played in just because as the defending national champs, we win by 25, maybe 30. And like our offense was like firing on all cylinders. Our defense was like we had the momentum going into Tennessee, and like we were just executing at a high level. Klein and Carson, they were great at running off screens. Everybody kind of like had their role, and like we were moving forward at a high pace, and like going into Tennessee, every game like we felt confident, and then like when we get down to Louisville, you walk in the gym and like it's all Purdue fans, and you're like it almost feels like you're playing in a home game. So like that gave us confidence, and then like being able to have that lead get out to a tough lead, to a big lead. We knew it was going to be tough. Like you're not in the Sweet 16, and like teams are just going to go away on you. Like they were a very talented team. If you look at the roster, Grant Williams in the NBA, Schofield, he's in the NBA. So like we knew, and they had dudes on their team that could make shots. Like they were very explosive offense. So we knew it was going to be a battle. They came back, and then like Klein, that was like the rest of the history. Like Klein just went crazy. I think in like that step back three, like his most famous one, with like 10 on the clock, I just went to the rim. Like I'm like, this is going up. He's good by himself. I'm just going to try to get a tip out here. And like, it just like shot after shot he hit. And it was just crazy. Like that game within itself was a lot. And just moving forward, like going into Virginia, we had the momentum too.
No, that's cool, Grady. And now, I'm proud of your career. I feel like you were a baby when you came in and you left. You surpassed what I did. You left a greater mark than what I left. So I'm definitely proud of what you were able to accomplish. But now you're in the coaching. You guys had a big win last night at Ohio State. Freshman hits the game winner. What's it like being on the other side of it? Because a few years ago, you hit that shot. Now you're seeing the freshman hit it. What was that locker room like last night on the other side of it now?
Yeah, first off, it sucks being on the other side. Like you feel like you have no control. Like you can't go out there and like make a play or, get a rebound. Like you try to just instill in those guys everything that like you did when you were there and try to just, give them little side pieces. Like they already have so many so many coaches talking to them throughout the game. So like I just try to, give them some little like tidbits throughout the game to try to like make them locked in on their guy or our assignments throughout the game. But being on the other side, just in the locker room after, like we did the Gatorade ice tub, pouring on them, and like we've been doing that since you were here, like doing it to Big AJ, and like everybody has the same reaction, like the whole locker room's hype. And it was just another game we were able to like stay in it and come out with the win. Like we were able to do that down at IU, and that game we were able to take control of early and kind of stay. But Michigan State, like it felt kind of like the same game as at Michigan State was. We were kind of down the whole game and able to just like steal one on the road. And there's no better feeling, even with fans or without fans, like walking off that court after the game, getting a win on the road. There's no better feeling.
Right. And talk about this team, because like you said, you guys have been battling at the end of the games, but you guys don't necessarily always start well. What do you think that is? Do you think you guys are just young and you guys don't start games well, or you just kind of got a lot of heart and you guys just don't like to lose when it comes down to it?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both. Like you said, like we got some younger pieces, and I think we're starting to gel a lot better. Like guys are finally trying to settle into their roles. Each guy like really wants it. I think that's the biggest thing, is like you saw in Jaden's emotions last night. And then like, there's been some other guys that, after the games and stuff, like getting emotional just because they want to win so bad. Like guys are texting last night when we get back, hey, can we get some workouts in today, or can we watch some more films? So like that's like the biggest thing I can see with this young of a team. Like normally you see that in like an older team who's had some heartbreaking, ends of the season. Like they want to get prepared for the end of the season and be clicking at the right time at the end of the year. But with a young team like this, like to see that this early is huge. And I think if we can just keep staying within ourselves and keep playing within our roles, we have enough talent, like with Travion and Eric, Mason being that glue guy type of player, getting some long rebounds, Sasha knocking down shots, Brandon Newman knocking down shots. So like we have the pieces to do it. I think it's just our guys sticking together and trusting the coaching staff throughout the year.
Nah, you definitely got a real deep team, a real good team, a real good solid team. Two things. It always throws me off when I hear guys say or tweets or fans or whatever, Mason is a Grady Eifert. Because I mean, to me, it's like Grady left such a mark as a walk-on that turned into such a good player that we're now comparing our best, I guess, new young forward to that player. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where it once was Rob was that mark, and now Grady is that mark. So I think that's a testament to you. I think that's dope. So I don't know if you look at it like that. I look at it like that.
If the four was averaging like 17 or 18, they wouldn't be comparing it to me. They'd be like, damn, is that a new Rob out there? Like,
hey, man, averaging 17 or 18 or getting 4 or 5 rebounds, 4 or 5 assists and winning the game, whatever you got to do to win the game. I think that's what our fans appreciate, to where guys like you and I don't have to average double figures, but we can leave our mark in the same sense as an Etwan or a Carson, or, you know what I mean? Because this is me speaking. I'm going to speak for everybody. To everybody in the world, you are just as important to that team as Carson. I mean, if you're not controlling the ball, if you're not controlling the tempo, if your attitude and your egoless personality doesn't mesh Klein and Carson, I don't think it works.
Right.
That's just me speaking. I don't know, I'm very transparent. You know me, but yeah. But no, now, because one of the things that I think is real cool about Paint, and I think a lot of people are starting to see it now, because Paint doesn't have All-American, I guess, on the roster or whatever you would say, a first-round draft pick right now. But, I mean, he's winning games. He's coaching well, and these guys are starting to trust his process and kind of believe in him. What are you learning from Paint right now? What are you seeing? Because it's a little different from you guys.
Yeah, I think before, like, you don't realize how much time, like, the coaches put into, like, to the work they put in. Like, I think as a player, you just think, you get up there and you can watch some film with them, but behind the scenes, like, they're going home and like they're not just stopping their work, like they're going home to watch more film. They'll come in like the next day and be like, hey, did you see this? Did you see it? Like, they're always doing stuff like on their laptops. They're watching games, talking within themselves to find out like what's the best available option to guard certain actions, or to play this lineup over this line, like matchups throughout the game. So I think that, like, that piece of it is the work they put into it. And like, for me, like, my senior year was like, it was so, my biggest thing as a motivator that year was to not, not to let the coaches down. Like, I didn't want to be the reason we lost the game, or like the reason we lost, or the reason we didn't make it as far as we could was because, we just weren't talented enough at that position, or we just could have, we used more at that position, or got more out of our guys. So I think like that was for me, like, not letting Coach Payne down was huge for me. And now transitioning into the coaches, like, seeing the work that he puts in on a daily basis, and he's done it for like the last 15, 16 years in coaching. So like, trying to get him to a Final Four, like, is my biggest thing, to get him to a Final Four. And like, that was the biggest letdown from myself. My senior year was not to be able to get Purdue to like a Final Four, because like you said on Twitter, like, it means more to some people. And like, you grew up a Purdue fan too, and so like getting Purdue to a Final Four been special.
Right. So I mean, and I think Paint is on his way. I think this is a really special time to be a Purdue fan, especially seeing the team now, understanding that this is essentially a free year, and these guys may be able to come back and play again. And Caleb Frost coming in next year from Fort Wayne. But before we get there, how do you get, like you said earlier, you said you don't want to fall after a big win, you don't fall into a trap game. This really isn't a trap game, but it could be. But you got a big game coming up against Michigan. I mean, right. Highly ranked Michigan, they've been doing some things historically this season. How do you guys get prepared for that team after such a big win on the road? Or what are some things? Have you watched some Michigan film yet? Or how does Michigan look to you? How do you guys prepare?
Yeah, I think just like any other year, you celebrate on the plane ride home or the bus ride home, and then you come in and like all that's over. Like, we're gonna watch film today. Like, Coach Payne's gonna be on the guys just as if we would have lost. So like, having a quick turnaround and just being ready for their guys. And they got a bunch of guys that are skilled. I think that's their biggest thing, is like, Michigan always has like 1 through 4, or even 1 through 5 most times. They can all shoot, pass, and dribble. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but for basketball, like, shoot, pass, and dribble, but they all can, and like at a high level too. So for us, like, being able to know their scouting report, know their actions they like to go to, is going to be huge. And like, they're really good offensively, and they've really stepped it up defensively this year. Like, they've gotten better each year. Michigan has defensively, and like, they're just playing at a high level right now. So I think, later on this week on Friday, we just got to be ready to go. Be able to protect home court. Obviously, it's a little different without our fans there, but I think the guys feel more comfortable at home, and definitely playing at home, I think, is still an advantage, even though there's not as many fans in the building.
No, and I definitely look forward to Friday. And you guys, like you said, a big game on Friday, big opportunity for a big win to keep the season rolling. But we kind of got to go every episode. We kind of go into some questions from Twitter. We go into some fan questions. I'm getting nervous, bro.
Dude, I mean, anything can come from Twitter. Like, it's ridiculous.
I'll filter it. You don't trust me, man?
No, I trust you.
But no, first question, because you're just talking about this, and I see it behind you. What is that like, playing in front of 14123 on a nightly basis? What is the paint crew like? How electric can it get in Mackey?
I mean, I think there was times after we went out to, dinner with our family after a win or something, like your ears would still be like ringing. My dad would be like, "Are your ears?" But yep, they're still ringing. So like having that effect on other teams, I know can just throw teams in a loop, especially with teams that don't, even at their home games, like don't play in front of that many, like a Penn State or just Nebraska, like they're coming back into Mackey and they have that many people, on top of you screaming and yelling. It throws people off, I'm telling you. And then like for our biggest games, like against IU and Michigan State, having those fans in there early and even camping out the night before, it's huge for us, and it just kind of gives you another level of confidence going into games, knowing like you're just gonna, if you get down, okay, if we can just rattle off like 2 or 3 buckets here, this place is gonna erupt. And it's like having that in your back pocket is always huge. Like you don't want to always rely on it, but it having it there and like just knowing that the fans are going to be as loud as they can is huge.
Yeah, that's cool. And Grady, another one would be toughest arena you played in.
Um, I would probably say when Maryland has their full team and their like when I was here and like I think it was even your senior year, like they were ranked in the top 10, top 15 throughout my whole four years. Like they had some very talented, they had NBA players left and right on their roster, and like going into that game when we were ranked high as well. Um, it is crazy in there. Like they get super loud. Obviously, Assembly Hall's loud. Michigan State's loud, but Maryland, they have like what's called the wall. I don't know if a lot of fans know what it is, but it's just a steep wall and it's full of students, and they do a couple different things during timeouts and stuff. But it's always hard to go in there, I think, to get a win, especially when they have a good roster.
No, that's definitely a tough arena to go in and play. I had 30 members of my family coming to that game at Maryland because my mom's from DC, so I needed 30
I think I
tickets.
remember that you were asking like everybody for their tickets.
I needed 30 tickets. But now, Greg, I got another one, and this is tough. I got some tough ones. These are for me too. Best player you play with?
Oh, I would say, I would say, oh, I don't know. It's tough. I'd say Biggie, just because, you know, what he brought to the table every single night. Like he wanted it super bad for himself, for the team, and like the work that I saw him put in on a daily basis, whether it was shooting or like for him, his body, like transitioning his body, um, being up in the weight room like every day with those guys. And like even after games, he'd go get on like the Versa Climber, he'd go get on the Stairmaster after he just played 35 minutes in a game and just want to get better each day. Um, and then like Carson was just so talented as far as being able to make shots. Like in practice, if he would get hot, like there was nothing anybody could do to stop him. Like there was just he was going to get downhill or he was going to hit a step back in your face, or like in transition there was no stopping him. So those two are probably the most talented, or the best guys that I had seen. And then obviously AJ, like Coach Payne said, like he can like he'll beat you in a game of horse, and like he can make any type of shot in the book. Like he can hit a hook shot with his right and left hand, and then like step out and hit like a 25-footer too. It's like it was crazy.
You need a game winner, and you got the ball at the top of the key. Who you passing it to? You can pass anybody you play with. It could be a three. It could be a post up, whatever you want. But you got the best 5 defenders out there from the Big 10. All different teams.
So like, is it a wide open shot or like he has
to, you gotta get it. You have to. It don't matter. You have to just score the ball. I don't really care how they do it.
I'll probably go with Carson. Like he can create his own shot. Like he can shoot from deep as can be. But like if you need a,
you need to step in. You need a 3 per game. Who you going?
Oh, Dakota or Klein?
Pick one.
Dude, that's so hard.
That's all we hear.
I couldn't tell you.
You need to post up. You go bigger AJ.
Man, I'm probably going with Biggie just because like he's like not to say AJ wasn't reliable, but like you knew Biggie wanted the moment, and like if he was gonna miss it, like he's probably gonna bulldoze you and get his rebound and get fouled. So like I'd probably go with Biggie.
Great, I got one more for you, and this is for anybody that is watching this that wants to pursue college basketball at the next level, wants to pursue college coaching, wants to stay in the game. But necessarily, I mean, like you said, Grady, you grew in high school, then you grew again in prep school. What advice do you give the younger you or the younger kid growing up that's going to be a Bishop DeWanger in a few years?
I would just say, with everything that, all the outside noise that the kids are going to grow up with, kind of get around your closest friends or the guys that kind of want the same goal as you. So like for me in high school, I was around the right people. Like I had a friend that went on to play at IU, actually, football. He was a walk-on there, but he wanted it bad. He wanted to play at the next level. So being around him a lot. And then one of my other friends also went to IU and was a walk-on tight end and ended up getting a scholarship there. So like being close around them and my cousins who knew that like sports mattered to me was huge. Like not getting around the wrong crowd. And then like once you get into the situation in college, following those footsteps, like I was able to create a relationship with you, Dakota and PJ. Like you guys were able to like, keep me in the gym, push me in practice. So I think that like that part is like having your circle. Like my parents never put like any pressure on me as far as like living in my brother's footsteps, or they were like, you can do whatever you want, and like you can pursue anything you want. So I think that part for me was huge, like not having any other distractions outside of the game. And that also, it seems easy to do, but like you're the one making the decisions. Like you can create your circle. Like you have the choice to make your circle as you want it to. And I think moving forward, just for guys that are at the high school level, is try to just limit the distractions. Like get in the gym and like get where like you think like in high school I thought I was working so hard, or like putting in the work, and then I got here and I was like, guys are working out the day of the game. Like guys are getting lifts in the day of the game. Guys are coming in the next day after a game and getting workouts in. Like to me, like once I got here and saw that, I'm like, man, if I could gone back and just seen this when I was younger, and like obviously I was able to see my brother, and like his work ethic was unbelievable. Like he wasn't an All-American coming out of high school. He was a 3-star and had to go through Pro Bowlers that were on Notre Dame roster that turned into Pro Bowlers in the NFL. So like watching him kind of go through the process was big for me. And so like any kid that's in grade school or high school right now, like what I would say is just whatever you're doing now, it probably isn't enough. You probably need to go back and do more, honestly. And like I think that would be the one thing I'd tell my younger self, would be to whatever you were doing then, Grady, like you should have been doing a lot more. And like that's just the truth, because there's so many kids trying to do the same thing you're doing. And now like even looking at it on the other side, like some of the guys that are doing stuff now, I'm like, dude, when I was in college, I should have been doing that. I should have been putting in more work. Like there's always more things you can be doing. And in the time you think it's crazy, but then like going back and looking at it, you're like, man, I should have really done more. So I think that's like the biggest thing moving forward for teenagers or guys that are even in college right now. Like you're not playing right now is probably because you're not doing enough, or you got to like listen to the coaches and what they're saying. Like Coach Payne was very upfront, like of how you're going to get on the court. And like he tells it, like, like he'll tell you straight up what you need to do. Like we have meetings every year, and like the guys that want it and like want to get minutes, they'll do the things. But the guys that kind of just, he's just saying that just so, Purdue can be better, and I might not get my fair shot. That's not true at all.
So it's basically, Grady, what I hear you saying, work hard, stay accountable, stay on top of your own self. I mean, do what you have to do so it doesn't really come down to somebody else. Because Payne give you the tools. If you just do what he says, it'll work out for you. And that's a lot of coaches. A lot of your coaches will give you tools. Whether you like that coach or not, that's who's controlling your playing time. So definitely always listen to your coach. Grady, my man, I could do this all day with you, but I know you got to go. I know you got to watch some film. I appreciate you joining us here on the Boiler Over Rapheal Davis podcast, brought to you by the Field of 68 Podcast Network. Make sure everybody subscribe. Make sure you check out RaphealDavisBasketball.com. We have 2-3 basketball camps coming up. We have 2 camps in West Lafayette for spring break, 1 camp in Fort Wayne, Indiana for spring break. We're working on our summer league for Fort Wayne, Indiana. Stay tuned on more information. But Grady, I appreciate you. Like I said, you're one of my favorite teammates, not because of the Saturdays we would spend watching college football all day, but also because of what you came in, the fight you showed from the very first day we played one-on-one, to seeing you take the team to the Elite Eight as a leader, as a captain, as someone that earned it, that worked for it. I'm proud of you. You're a legend in my book. You're a legend in Purdue's book. The work you put in should make any young player understand that I can go to Purdue, no matter where I am right now, and I can be successful. Right. So, Grady, thank you.
Appreciate it, Ray. It was good talking to you, and appreciate you having me on the podcast. I feel like it's going to be doing some big things here coming up. So,
oh man, we're gonna get you back on. We're gonna get you back on after a game to break down some game footage for us and all that stuff right there.
No, I appreciate it though, and thank you for being a good leader when I was here and kind of getting me off to the right step. And he was kind of the one that took me in under his wing, and my parents like who are your friends down there? And like I was like, man, I'm just kind of like the guys on the basketball team. Like Ray, I'm always over at Ray's and either hanging out with the other walk-on John McKeeman and Dakota was really like our thing. My freshman year was just hanging over at your house, but no, I appreciate it though.
No, it's all good because you got to think about it. My babies, I consider y'all my babies. John McKeeman is a doctor now. I mean, you're a college coach. Dakota's in the NBA. You guys did well. I can live through y'all.
I think John still hates you, man.
Go get John. But all right, Grady, I appreciate you joining us, man. Have a good win on Friday.
All right, appreciate it.